Yiradhu Marang everyone, Letitia in here. So today I wanted to jump on and have a bit of a yarn around the foster care system. So, as some of you may know, I went into foster care when I was 12 years old with my five younger siblings, and it was really, really tough because at the time, like being the eldest as well, the experience of being removed from your family, like it's something you never forget. Even if it was leaving because of bad circumstances, it's still a very traumatic event in itself. And so it's one of those things that some people can't even talk about. I have got to the point where I've worked through enough of my healing to know that it's okay to talk about these things. If anything, these experiences are important in our journey as well and how we work through them. So, just minor disclosures. In some of my content, I will be sharing some more personal, vulnerable details about my experiences around different things in life. So I just wanted to give that heads up now for if you are a bit sensitive, to always reach out, to have a yarn to other people, your support systems, or even me. Always happy to explore what that looks like for you. And so a bit about my journey, so where I did come into care. On that day, how I remember it, I'd just gotten home from a family trip into Dubbo from Narromine to do a grocery shop, and it was the school holidays at the time as well. So we were mid-year. I'd only been at this school for would have been about 4 months at the time. So I created some friendships. I was really feeling that sense of connection and community, and then my life pretty much up and changed overnight. When we got home from that shopping trip, that was the day I disappeared from all my friends' lives at the time as well, my family, because we came home to police and docs at the time, so they were formerly docs, now known as Department of Community Justice, present. And they spoke to my parents and then came to us kids and let us know that we had to pack a bag so that we could go away for the weekend, as they said. As a 12-year-old who I was very, very much intuitive, smart, they basically didn't give any information away to even explain to us as kids what was going on. So that itself was quite hard. The fact of having police present also was very intimidating. So at the time, it created a negative view within my mind around authority. And in time, I worked through that, and I, believe in the purpose of authorities as well. But as a child, it was very much something that can shift your views forever if things don't go down. And there are stories of young people that have had riot squads rock up to the removal of them as kids from their family, or rocking up in the schools and removing them from schools, and that creating that isolation there. So yeah, and from there I remember packing a little tiny grey plastic bag that they used to use at Franklin's and Woolies back in the day when we had those shops. Shopping bags that were just made of the thinnest plastic. So I just had one of those alongside one each for my sisters and brothers. They took my phones. I had 2 phones as a 12-year-old because they were just these cheap little Nokias. And that was when I was basically taken away from everything that I knew, everything that was normal to me at the time. And then from there, I remember traveling to Dubbo to go to their office, sitting there, unknowing what was going to happen, the fact that I knew they were splitting us up as well. And I remember a day that I left, I promised my mum I wouldn't leave my little brother, because there was 5 girls and 1 boy. So that was a really big thing that I needed to hold true to. And yeah, so when they were looking at placing us, they initially were going to put me and my 2 sisters that are a year and 2 years younger than me together. Then my other 2 sisters in a placement, and then my little brother. But I absolutely refused to let him go. So they did contact the foster carer that he was going to see if she would take me in as well. And it's a funny story because, like, even looking at the fact that my foster mum at the time had said she didn't want boys and she didn't want teenagers because she had quite negative experiences, and she also had her own kids and another foster boy there at the time as well, who was quite high needs. And then she got me and my little brother. She got a teenager and another boy. So I'm just so forever grateful that she was like, yep, to have us come out. And that was the start of my life living with my foster family. I even remember on that drive, it was so daunting. Like, it was dark when we got there, so we drove into a driveway and it was pitch black, and just that feeling of fear and sadness and grief and loss and everything that was going on in my head on that day. And just the need to not let my brother go. So I was attached to his hip for quite some time. And through that process, we were told, it's just for the weekend, and then it's for a week, and then 2 weeks, and then months, and then 6 months in, it got to the point where they're like, okay, this might be longer because of the process of the court systems. And so then we had my 2 youngest sisters move in as well. Thanks to my amazing foster carer for listening to me wanting them to come. And then I think it was about 12 months in when we finally got an answer to say, hey, you guys are going to stay in care through until you're 18, so you'll be ward of the state. So it was quite a lengthy process of not knowing what was going to happen. And just within the anxiety that built in that time was very full on as well. So I think it was not long before I turned 14 that I realized that's where I belonged anyways. I remember having a bit of a voice where I was able to express that I wanted to stay with my foster family. Prior to the court's final decision, I spoke to a solicitor, and I said, hey, like, this is where I want to be. I know that I'll be safe, and I know that my younger brother and my 2 sisters will be safe here. So that's where the final decisions were made as well. And then my 2 other sisters stayed with their foster carer as well long term. And the thing is, I was very fortunate to have had such a stable foster family, to have such amazing support and love throughout, because the amount of children and young people that move around place to place to place is ridiculous. And the fact that there's not enough carers as well, and especially Indigenous carers. And even within my own circumstances, we were placed with a non-Indigenous carer because there was no Indigenous carers in community at the time that were able to take on 4 siblings. But yeah, so it's one of those things that I look back at and I realize that one, I was very lucky that everything kind of played out the way it did. I use a lot of my trauma experience to look at the fact of, yes, I went through what I did. I went through a significant amount of sexual abuse, physical abuse, neglect as a child, but at the same time, I have grown to be a much bigger, stronger person now, using my resilience to counteract and actually stand up for the rights of other children, young people. That my experience in the foster care system has shaped me to see the deeper levels and to know the importance of having a voice and sharing experiences so that other foster kids realize they're not alone and their experiences aren't unique to them. Like, the stories I hear, we're all quite similar, and it's really sad as well. But that no matter what, like, they have the space to work through it. And no matter how many times things don't work out, that you just gotta keep true to yourself and keep like pushing through. Use your resilience as your strength. Use your voice as your strength. Know that at the end of the day, you, as much as people want to make decisions for you, you are the final decision maker in your life. And you may not have control of the adults or the circumstances going on, even the way that your mental health or the trauma impacts you. That can be really tough as well. But to lean on your supports, whether your support is your best friend at school or a teacher that you feel you can confide in, having an awesome foster carer or a caseworker who absolutely puts you first. Whoever those supports are, your soccer coach or dance teacher, like, just lean on your supports to keep moving forward, because there will be a day where things will change and you will be the one in charge of your life, because there will be the day that you become an adult as well. Or even being a young person, like, I remember trying to voice my opinions when I was 12 years old. Use it. Use your voice at 12 years old. Don't feel like adults are in control of your life. You still have a right to speak up and to be a part of all those decisions. Like, literally, there is a charter of rights for children and young people around this, especially for kids in care. So do not ever feel like people are disempowering you, because on the other end of it, you are a unique, beautiful, amazing person who has had to go through a lot of shit in their life, and you are the one that needs to own it. You need to be able to turn around and be like, no matter what I've been through, at the end of the day, this is the path I'm going to create for myself. To break that cycle, to believe in the goals and the dreams that you have. Like, never in a million years did I think I was going to be my own business person. Like, I'm an owner of Letitia and Designs. Like, that's crazy. I also get paid to do advocacy work, like to actually speak up about these things. Like, that in itself is super cool. Because that's the thing, people don't realize how powerful young people are. So if you are a young person in out-of-home care and you want to have a yarn, always feel free to reach out. I can also always connect you to some other amazing programs and initiatives such as Create Foundation, ABSEC, even DCJ have their own young consultant group, Youth Action. Like, there's so many amazing avenues for you to connect to other young people in out-of-home care, to share your story safely, work through your healing, and know that you're not alone in any of this. So yeah, I guess that's a bit about my experience coming into the foster care system, like what it was like on that very first day. And I look back at it now and I know that it wasn't right the way that it was done. Like, that there needs to be better systems in place when it comes to bringing kids into the home care system, more intervention, even looking at family, kinship care and stuff like that. But it is a changing system. I have noticed that. It is something that over the last 10 years, things have really been shifting. The way that youth voices are now prioritised within, especially within Department of Community Justice, is so powerful, including the fact I've been a young consultant for their UC Change youth consultation group since 2016, I believe. Like, that's a long time, and I will continue doing that until I think the end of the year. I will have to finish up because I do turn 25. But just the opportunities that have come out of that, we created a podcast, sharing our voices as young people. I will totally put the link in the comment button below, so check it out. It's called Not Just a Kid in Care. It's actually a name that I suggested, so it was really cool to have that used as well as the podcast name. We've also created other cool resources such as the U book, so I'll add that link in, and any of the services I mentioned today, I'll add them in. But yeah, so I look forward to yarning to you more, especially, like, it's always an honor and a pleasure to hear other young people's voices, so feel free to reach out. Sorry, I had a little bit of indigestion kicking in. I was like, but yeah, so Mandang Good, thank you for listening and have a fabulous day. Bye!